Whoa, oh, oh. La, da, 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 oh, oh, oh. La, da, 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 oh, oh, oh. La, da, da.
Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm super excited to be bringing you 10 brand new Dollar Tree DIYs. Most of the materials that I'm going to be using in these DIYs came from Dollar Tree, whether it's all of them or just certain elements. So I hope that you enjoy this video, and let's get crafting. For this very first one, I am using this house sign that I picked up at Dollar Tree, and I really liked the shape of it and the look of it, but wasn't crazy about the inside of it. There was a lot of glitter and stuff, so I removed the little wreath, but you don't want to throw it out because I will be using it later on for something else. So I just set it aside, and then I took my little hand sander and sanded this completely down, getting rid of all the glitter. I really wanted to use this side, otherwise I probably would have just painted the other side, but I liked the way the roof line was on here, and I wanted to kind of have that raised roof line look for this sign. So this took about a minute or so just to give it a good sanding. I use my sides too to sand because they're a little bit rougher than the bottom. I think I'm due for a new sanding block. So once that was all sanded down and cleaned off, I gave this a 2 solid coats of paint. However, I did find that even with 2 coats of the white paint, it wasn't quite enough to cover up all the bumps and raises that the letters were creating, and some of that plaid was still showing. Probably should have painted it black first, but I decided just to tape a white piece of paper down to it. But before I was done doing that, I just added some snow onto the roof line, and I just used some printer paper to replace it because, like I said, once I saw how the second coat was drying, it did not look really good, and I needed to have a smooth edge. I wasn't sure that the paper would work. I just, like I said, used printer paper, but it did work. Now I'm going to use my Hippo transfers, and I just added them into the water, hot water, and I will link the video down below where I have the full tutorial on how to use the Hippo water slide paper. And I also have a code that you can use down below. This is definitely a great alternative if you do not have a Cricut machine. All you need is a printer, and it has to be the inkjet printer. It cannot be the laser printer, at least not for these slides. But I just love the way this turned out. I am definitely getting better at it. I did struggle at the beginning when I was using them, but I am definitely getting better at it. So there is a process. Like I said, I have a full tutorial on how to do this, but you pretty much print your image off, and I will link the free image in the description box, but you print the image onto your water slide, then you spray them with a finish. I just use Rust-Oleum glossy finish, and I spray it 3 or 4 times, and you want to fully dry between the sprays. And then once you're done that process, you add the water slide into the hot water, and I waited for about a minute or so. You will kind of see how it is and when it's done, and then you just slide it off onto your image and then just smooth it out. I just used a rag and gently smoothed the bubbles out, and I just love the way this turned out.
Making our Christmas memories.
For my next project, I am using a bamboo cutting board. This came from Dollarama, and the little truck shape from Dollar Tree, and then the Merry Christmas came from your dollar store with more. And I give the cutting board just a light coat of paint, a white paint, just acrylic white paint, trying to have the grooves show a little bit. And then I proceed on getting my truck ready, and I just painted with some paint. I am using for the truck Christmas red, Christmas green, and some black. And these are Deco Art acrylic paints.
Da, 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 making our Christmas memories. I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping people pleased. But this is my favorite holiday. It's a chance to start over new. 'Cause I missed you, so I'm letting go of everything but you. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year.
For the little words, I am going to stain them, and I use my favorite stain from your dollar store with more, and it is just your dark walnut stain. And I use a rag to apply the stain, just rubbing the letters until I get somewhat of an even look.
Yeah, it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you.
And now the fun part, start assembling this sign. So I'm going to just use hot glue to glue all the pieces on, and then I'm going to use all the paint, the red, the black, and the white, and just kind of add a little bit of a rustic border to it. I like the look of those tin signs, and I feel that they have almost like a rustic border on the side, just a little bit. It looks like aged border, so I wanted to kind of recreate that. I like the way it looks. I don't know if I actually succeeded on recreating the look that I was going for, but I don't mind the way the border looks. I would love to know what you guys think. Would you have added this border, or would you just left it as is? There was really not enough space to add a wood border to it.
I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, oh.
For my next project, I'm using paint stir sticks that came from Dollarama. I think in US you can buy them at Dollar Tree as well. And then I'm using some Jenga blocks. Now these are actual Jenga blocks. I picked them up at Value Village, but you can definitely use the stacking blocks from the Dollar Tree or Dollarama. And I am creating a frame with them, and I'm using 8 of them, and I'm going to use hot glue to assemble the frame.
Making our Christmas memories. I've been wrapping presents for you. I've been hanging marbles in the tree. And I've lit my house with Christmas lights. So you should come back home to me. And when we wake up in the morning, I'm gonna play those carols that you love. We'll be singing all the melodies until the sun comes up. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, oh. La, da, 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 oh, oh, oh.
Once the frame was ready and set, I add some stain to it using the same stain in the same way with a rag. I just love the way this stain looks, and I think it's going to look great with this picture that I'm trying to recreate. So once I applied the stain on all the inside, the sides, and then the outside edges as well, because if it's a frame, you're going to be able to see it. Now, the only downfall with these Jenga blocks is that those Jenga words show, but you can't really see them unless you're kind of standing over top of the sign, but it was what I had on hand. The benefit of using the ones from the dollar stores, they don't have that. So once the frame was stained, I end up cutting my paint sticks, a stir stick. I'm kind of trying to create somewhat of a shiplap background look. So I'm just going to measure up one exactly where I want it to go, and then I'm going to use stack them together, and I'm going to use one of them just to draw a straight line across where I want them to be cut. And I'm just using metal shears um, to cut this because I find that they work pretty good with cutting almost anything. I also want to mention that if you're stopping by my channel for the very first time, I would love it if you considered subscribing, pressing the notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. Over on this video, I do tons of DIYs from dollar store to trash to treasure to some furniture makeovers. So I would love to have you be part of my YouTube crafting community. And if you do decide to stay, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to know you a little bit better. Let me know where you're from and what you enjoyed in this video. So once these were all cut, I do sand the edges a little bit and trim them some more just to smooth them out. You probably didn't have to go ahead through this process because the little wood pieces are going to be on the back and nobody's gonna really see them. I did cut one extra one just to make sure that I had enough, but I did not end up needing it. Now it's ready, and I'm going to paint them with that Christmas red paint, and I'm going to apply the paint with the paintbrush, making sure I cover it all, and then I'm going to wipe some of that paint off with a rag. I think this just gives it a rustic look. If you've been watching my DIYs lately, I do enjoy using this method. I just think it almost like deepens the project or makes it look old and aged. I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's how I feel that it makes it look. And then some of that wood grain, even though there isn't a lot on a paint stick, a stir stick, it does kind of show through as well, which I like.
Making our Christmas memories. Yes, these are the good times with you. Don't even care what we do if I spend it with you. Just you and nobody else.
Once they were all nice and painted, I assembled the frame by hot gluing them to the back of it. And not sure if your paint stir sticks have a ruler on one side, so if they do, make sure you do the paint and all that stuff on the side that does not have the ruler markings. And now I'm taking this wooden snowflakes that I picked up at Dollar Tree, a package of them, and I'm just painting both sides white. And the reason why I painted both sides white is because it was hard to get into the little crevices, and painting the other side helped with that.
It's so good to see you again, to see you again. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you.
So once everything was dry, I just hot glued the snowflake in the middle, and I just think this is such an easy and cute DIY, and I can't wait to use it in my bedroom.
You and me, hanging by the fire, chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. I've been longing to hold you close.
Now these next two DIYs are very similar, and I'm not going to go through the full process of assembling both of them. I'll just show you the finished product because they're pretty similar and the steps are the same, and I didn't want to bore you. But I went ahead and cut these into equal sizes, equal rectangles, and I'm going to work with a group of 3. So the first 3, I am painting one red, one green, and the other one red. But the one red, I'm painting the top and all and the 3 sides, and then the green one, the next red one, I am just painting the front and the sides, and then the green one, I am just painting as well front and the sides, because I'm going to be creating book stacks and there's no need to be painting the other 2 on top. And then the other 3, I'm painting them all red. Same thing. One is fully painted on the 4 sides, and the 3 sides and the top, and then the other 2 are just the sides.
Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories.
So the first one, I'm going to glue them alternating, and then I'm use my Cricut machine to cut out some words to add to them. And the next one, I will be writing it with my white chalk paint marker from Dollar Tree. I just wanted to give you an option of that you don't need to have a Cricut to do this. This part, you can just carefully write out your words. I did struggle with my words a little bit because, as you know, I mentioned before, I do struggle with smaller items on the Cricut. I am getting better at it. I think I was better at it here, except when I pulled it apart, one of them flipped and glued back on, and then I couldn't remove the letters, so I had to do it pretty much manually using the little picking tool and my tweezers that I have, which are all the tools from the Cricut. But I love the way both of them turned out. I did add some rope around the fully red ones, and I think they're gonna be great on tier tray or just as a shelf filler. For this project, I also use my Cricut tool as well as my razor blade, and I cut, this was an egg shape from Easter, and I just went into Cricut Access and found a cutting board, sized it up, and cut it out. It did take several cuts to go through in order to do that. And then, speaking of Cricut Access, one of their featured images was this reindeer feet, which I thought was so cute. So I again saved it and sized it up and to fit the cutting board, and I'm going to transfer it on. This is a dollar Tree red vinyl, and I do find that it works. It's just not as good as the Cricut vinyl or the Oracle, is it Oracle vinyl that you can get at Michael's and at on Amazon. But this is the only red I had, and I really wanted to add the red to this white cutting board, and I wasn't wrong with the way the whole project ended up looking. And again, this is one that you can use for your tier tray, or you can use it as an ornament. Next project is a gnome makeover. I could not find any of those plain particle board gnomes that the dollar or wood gnomes that the Dollar Tree had that I saw people haul. So I picked this guy up at Dollarama, and I am just painting the red with my Christmas red because I did not like the color red that was on there. You don't have to do that if you like the red color. I just felt that it was almost more on the, or pulling on the orangish red rather than the actual Christmas red. So I just added my Christmas red. Then I wanted to darken up the nose, so I tried applying my stain onto that nose, but it was very smooth. So I pulled it off, flipped it around, and stained the other side, and then just glued it back on. And I think this looked much better. And then for the glittery, you could leave it as is now. I think he did look pretty cute, but I wanted to go one step further. So I wanted to add a furry beard. So I'm using one of those dusting pads, car dusting pads from Dollar Tree as his beard, but I traced out the beard onto the just a printer paper, just so I have a bit of a form, so I can cut that somewhat to fit to the top of the beard. This was a little bit of a messy project because those little things were everywhere from the dusting mitt. And then once I had that cut out, I just put it on and tried to see where else I need to trim, smooth out, kind of brush out the is it a feathers or whatever it is. It's not feathers, but whatever that material is called. And then once I was satisfied with the look, I ended up gluing it on, and I ended up trimming it some more just on the sides, just to give it a bit of a more of like definition rather than just a straight edge. And I think this made him look so much more cute than what he already was. And then I took some of those things that I cut off and hot glued them to the top of his hat, just to add a little bit extra stuff to him. For the next project, this snowflake came from Dollar Tree. I picked it up last year. I am not sure whether they still have them this year, but I used them so many different ways last year. But this year I wanted to stain it because I'm trying to create somewhat of a decor for my master bedroom. I do apologize for a whining and crying dog. He's wants me to go out and take him for a walk, but he just needs to be a little bit more patient. And so once I stained the snowflake, doing this exact same process as I did before with my rag and the dark walnut stain, I take that little wreath that I took off from my first project, and I'm going to add it, but I wanted to embellish it a little bit. I was going to add like another garland, berry garland to it, but I really wasn't working for me. So I ended up taking that berry garland off and taking the smallest berries and hot gluing them on to it. I think these berries definitely beefed up the wreath, but I still wasn't quite sure that it was where I wanted it to be once I was done and added it to the snowflakes. So then I decided that what I'm going to add to it are these pine cones, but they obviously were way too big, so I just trimmed off the tops and added those to the wreath, and I think this ended up looking much better. And to take it even a further step, using the brush with the white paint on it without dipping it back in, I just took that and brushed it on top of the pine cones, and then I proceeded on brushing the whole snowflake with that whatever was left over on that paintbrush. And I think this made the snowflake look that much better. For this project, I'm using one of these artist panels that I picked. I think this one came from Dollarama. Not sure if I got it at Dollar Tree. I'm not sure if the Dollar Tree actually carries them. But I just stained, again, using the same stain. And you can use whatever stain or paint you wish. I'm just using this one because I love it. And I stained the like the front of it as well as the inside of it. And then just a little bit on the edges as well. And don't worry about messing up the inside because I will be gluing on some wrapping paper. I am going to be using the same wrapping paper that I used in my hot cocoa station if you had watched that video, and I'm using tacky glue to add it on. So I'm just measuring out where to cut it approximately, because doing it this way I will be about 1/2 inch on each side longer, but then I just put it there and marked it off with a pen. Just did little dots to know where to cut it, and once I cut it and fit it in, I just glued it on. Now I did cut out a image on my Cricut machine, and this is one of those images that is available on Cricut Access. So I do not know what font it is. I did try to look it up because I had a question in one of my previous videos what font I used. So I went ahead and looked at it, but it doesn't actually tell me what font it is because it's already pre-made project. You just size it up to fit your whatever your project you're doing. You can move items around as well, but I didn't. I just left it as is. Now I did make a mistake of adding this way too soon because the tacky glue has not had a chance to dry. So when I went and tried to pull this off, it was ripping the paper off with it. So I proceeded on finishing this project just so I can show you, and I did redo the backing again by gluing on the wrapping paper and then waiting and cutting out another image. And the last project that I'm going to be sharing with you is very simple, no paint involved, you just need some glue. So I'm using this plaque that came from Dollar Tree as well as this little square garland, and the Let It Snow came from your dollar store with more. And then I'm going to hot glue cut the garland in half. Well, I sized it to fit here, and then I just hot glued it to the back, and I wanted to leave some give to it so it kind of droops down a little bit. And then I used these little cutout pieces. I think these came from Dollarama, little snowmen. I know you can pick up snowflakes at Dollar Tree, I think. That would look great as well. And then I just had glued them so they look like they're hanging off the garland. And that's it. I'm so glad you made it to the end. I would absolutely love to know what you thought. I thought they turned out so cute, and I can't wait to use them in some of my decor. I'm definitely going to be using all that rustic red and black plaid DIYs that I made in my bedroom, because I'm going to be decorating it very soon over, and you can check that video over on my home channel. But I will also going to be decorating a couple more tier trays that are in the basement, which all the elf and the little all the little tier tray ones that I've made are gonna look fabulous on those trays. So if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're stopping by my channel for the very first time, I would love it if you considered subscribing and pressing that notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. So until next time, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you all so much for watching. Bye.